Good morning to you. Good evening to everybody. I'm just going to turn the microphone actually because I was talking in a weird direction. But hello there. We are live and I'm just going to move the monitor around just a little bit. You might want to move your chair in slightly.
There's a cat somewhere.
But,
no, he's already gone.
Yeah, don't worry. The cat, has the cat gone? Yeah, the cat has. Is glowering at us from outside. But it's really good to have you all along here. We're back for another Monday Club live stream here with me, Jenny Kirk, and I've got Derry, who some of you may recognise, big fan of the show. I've been in quite a few videos actually.
5 now, I think.
5? Are you keeping count?
No, someone else is.
Oh, are they? No problem. Oh, we've got the guy who would not share his name is in and appears to have his return key stuck down. Graham MCK 3RH hi. I think there's some kind of autocorrect issue going on. I like transport. Hi to you. Model Train Fan 101. You were the first. Yeah, you were the first to comment, but you weren't the first in the room. And Game Hammer Classic Gaming, aka Zoe. Have fun tonight. Yes, we will. We've got Charles Curtis. Hello to you. And the Growler Blackwood Engage Layout. Good evening to you, Tim Bode. Hello from Michigan. Always good to reach around the world. Graham MCK, sorry, it was meant to be hi, we guessed that. Kingswood Junction, evening to you. Collins Engage, hi to you. Russell Benton, how do? Oh, yeah, whippets on a string, ready to go.
It's going to take a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it does actually. Derry's used to this. He's not been a guest on the show before. He did Biggest Little Railway with me, and he's been involved with quite a few videos. You're very good at sourcing interesting places around the Oswestry area.
And interesting things occasionally as well.
Very much. And actually, one of the things that I was quite interested to talk to you about today, in fact, one thing it's just reminded me I need to do is change the title on the live stream, because for some reason, I bet Zoe's not done it. Where is the... I hate YouTube because let's have a look. YouTube Studio. Yeah, I've not put the title up. It's Greg Palmer. Hi Jen. Still dark o'clock here in Brisbane. Yeah, it's probably about 5 in the morning where you are from memory.
So dedication there. Thank you.
Evening Jenny and all the Monday crew. Tony Britton. Hello to you. Huntsheath Model Railway. Hello. How's the loft? Loft is going really, really well, it has to be said. Now, let's have a look. I've just... YouTube Studio Beta, don't use it, to be honest with you. It's like... the chat's popped out. Let's have a look. I'm going to change the title, because at the moment, people are probably quite confused, because it's got last week's title. But what I was planning on doing was talking a little bit about your particular forte, which is sourcing model railway items on the dirt cheap.
Not Muppet puppetry. Oh,
puppetry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
sorry. Your forte, Muppet puppetry. Oh no, you're talking about trains again, aren't you?
Yeah, for a change. Yeah, right. Anyway, this is going to be sourcing model rail items really cheap. There we are. That's not a clickbait title in any way, is it? Right, that should just automatically update. I'm going to close that screen actually, because that is really quite sinister looking at ourselves on a 10-second delay.
Yeah, that's actually... I was trying to work out the timing on it.
Yeah.
That's why I did the puppetry, because it gives me an excuse. But...
let's have a look. Mark Rice. Hi Jen, just found out GWR Goodbye Intercity 125 last one next Saturday. So sometimes autocorrect does leave you guessing.
And of course the answer to that is, and the raven shall fly by the moon, we attack at midnight.
Send 3 and 4 pence. We're going to a dance. Yeah. I like transport. Yes. Sorry, got to go by. Well, that was a quick visit. Yeah. But don't forget, you can catch up with the full video. It goes live on YouTube as a regular video, so you can catch up with everything that you may or may not have missed, and also rewatch stuff. Wolfie Wolf just tuned in. Hi Jenny, and not Brian. This is Derry, everybody. We're going to have to keep reminding people because people dip in and out as we go. So Derry, you may recognise him, one of my partners in crime, from a number of videos. Very good at sourcing interesting places around the Oswestry area. But also, he was on Biggest Little Railway with me, so you may recognise him from that. But actually, what is it you do by trade?
Well, currently nothing at the moment.
I was expecting you to say antiques dealer and wheeler dealer.
No, well, currently nothing, but I have worked for several years alongside antique dealers in a range of different functions, including restoration work, sailing, buying and selling, and...
Sailing?
Sailing, yes.
Well, what have you been sailing?
What? Oh, sailing.
Or is this some kind of
mixture? Well, testing boats which they get occasionally, sailing.
So this is the thing that ever since I learnt about some of the wheeling and dealing that you do, always intrigues me. Why are antique dealers, amongst other people, ending up with all these mysterious things which you wouldn't normally associate with an antiques dealer?
It's actually a really sad story, and it's one that we still kind of look out for, is that we die. And a lot of people don't have a suitable plan for when they do as to what happens, and they don't involve their families, and so families just want it gone. A room which they've never been in, they want cleared to use, and so all your precious collection insured for thousands, they either intentionally get someone to damage it. That was one I've done once before.
Sorry, intentionally got somebody to damage. Why would they do that? What? Because
you get more on the insurance claim, and you have a lot less faff than trying to sell them at their full value.
So what sort of things have you seen done to model railways?
No comment on some of those. However...
What, small localised fires?
No, let's just say a liberal chuck out of a third-storey window was quite a popular one.
How do you explain that one on the insurance?
Just a casual mishap as
Oh, what?
usual.
I was moving this model railway and it accidentally slipped out of the window.
Or, it fell out of the loft hatch and then down the stairs, bounced a couple of times and was thoroughly destroyed.
Opened the front door, bounced outside,
yes.
Carefully shutting the front door.
Story goes on. But...
Yeah, but the thing is, surely that knackers up your insurance because...
Well, it's a one-use insurance, really. If they do not intend to continue with a railway insurance policy with a particular insurance company, it doesn't matter.
But let's get to the I say happier for us as consumers. But I mean, it goes to show that you have all this stuff, and what you don't want is for your other half to sell it for what you claimed you paid for it.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, I mean, you've got to remember, I'm currently actually, in fact, I need to talk to you about this because I've got a friend of the family whose partner died, and the friend of the family, she has no interest in model railways, but her husband was a big collector of model railway stuff and model buses, and had a very well-paying city job, and he would just collect, no reason or rhyme for it, he would just collect anything, oh, shiny. And he amassed a collection of between 9,000 and 10,000 buses alone, and probably about the same with model railway equipment. And then he's died. And the friend of the family had no interest in any of this, sat on it for about 5-6 years whilst she's worked out what on earth to do. And in all honesty, because he never left a will or anything, well, she's inherited it all, but has no meaning to her. She doesn't know what it's worth. If you said to her, I'll take it off your hands, and you'll have to pay £100 for the skip, she'd probably go, maybe that's reasonable. And conversely, if you said, oh, there's like £250,000 worth of stuff, again, she'd probably look at it and go, I could believe that. And all the figures in between. But she doesn't know what it's worth. And at the moment, she's probably going to get taken for a ride.
So, weirdly enough, the best idea is... Usually it's the best idea is to get the nearest friend who was associated with the hobby. Now, don't necessarily go to a local club. I know and could probably list off a dozen clubs which have a policy of rip them for all they're worth and sell it on eBay.
Yeah, basically, you get a lot of people who trough at somebody else's expense, and they probably trouser an awful lot of the good stuff.
Yeah, in fact, one that I had a couple of years ago, and I was annoyed at the time, that Hornby 00 Southern green tank engine.
Yeah, they
N2.
Last time I looked into them, about £350 was the going rate for one of them.
Yes. with an additional complete, never been used and carefully stored sets.
So it was in the box?
Yes, with box. Everything had been
That
carefully...
would probably go up to around £800 to £900.
We were getting offers up to close to 1,000 when it was graciously donated to his long beer friend who was in the pub and felt like he needed to unload her burden.
What?
Yes.
Did she know what it was worth?
Nope.
Did somebody tell her afterwards, say, you know, you muppet, you've actually just given away nearly £1,000?
Yes. Well, it was close to £2,500 across the 3 sets.
Did she regret being talked into just parting with them for nothing?
No. Well, she did when she discovered that the guy was in fact moving out of the area at about the same time, and
what was putting it all on auction sites?
No, he wasn't actually going to put them on eBay immediately because that's dead obvious.
Yeah.
He was leaving it for about a year. We did track him down eventually.
And how much did he get for them?
He didn't sell them because we charged him with fraud.
Oh, right. So basically obtaining goods by deception.
Well, she'd officially licensed us to clear out the collection.
Right.
So she shouldn't have given them away because we'd effectively already paid for them at our own rate.
Right, so effectively she was giving away property that was no longer hers.
Give or take, yes. But certainly his actions were also fraud, even if it wasn't the case.
Oh, interestingly enough, somebody's asked what's the tipple. We are currently both drinking Lime Tree. This is from the Co-op. Other supermarkets are available. And we've gone for a cheeky Merlot. So a nice red wine for a change. It's one of the things that... just for anybody who's just joined us, by the way, this is Derry. I'm going to have to keep sense because everybody knows who I am because I'm incredibly well known.
Well, you're the reason why they...
Well, it is my channel, yes. Yeah. But it's like Brian always found this. Like you had to keep saying that, and this is Brian. So
now you confuse them. I'm Derry.
Yeah.
Brian is someone else.
Yeah, Brian's the person we've had as a guest for quite a few times, but they've got Derry this time around. But anyway, no. What people really want to know is what sort of money are you finding you're sourcing these things for? Because I've had a few good things out of you over the years.
And so I'm actually going to go off what is a solid figure that I know a dealership friend of mine has just cleared for. They bought a literal shipping container. It had 15,000 DCC fitted Hornby and Bachmann models.
So back that train up. How many?
15,000.
Right. So this was somebody been collecting.
Yeah, someone. It was actually meant. It was previously that had been a collector, and he was a railway hobbyist, but he also exported to Australia.
Right.
And this was his export thing. However, he didn't run that as a company. That was his own deal.
So it was a bit of a sort of like.
Yeah, he was a wheeler dealer on one level, and when he died, his wife just didn't want the shipping container.
Did she know what was in it?
No. She didn't have the keys. In fact, they had to hacksaw the lock off to find out. They reimbursed her £1,400 for £1,000 for the shipping container and £400 for any possible contents.
And you said there was how many?
15,000 is what they got to.
So how much is that per locomotive? DCC fitted locomotive.
It's just it's just less than £1 a locomotive.
That is this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you leave a will. I'm only 40. Shut up, and a bit. And I've got a will, and one of the reasons for that is because if you don't have a will, this is what happens. I don't mean Derry just turns up and goes, "Hello, I hear you haven't got a will," but no. The story with the shipping container is the sort of thing that happens. I mean, that's an extreme case.
Yeah, but even then, they still sold cheap. They were still selling literally brand new Hornby and Bachmann models. For example, the GWR 2800 in GWR green.
Is that the 280 tender loco?
Yes, that one.
Oh, I'd love one of those.
GWR green, so that's a limited edition livery.
Yeah.
Retail price in the hundreds.
It's about 110, 120, something like that.
But,
maybe even 140.
That isn't even shipped to a fitted. That's just the retail price from Manhattan's.
And was this like as new in
yes,
box?
as new in box with sound chip fitted.
So sorry, so you're dribbling this info. That's like 250
this particular
quid.
One. Yeah, that's 250 quid. They sold that for 40.
I mean, did they know what they had?
Yeah.
So why were they selling it so cheap? I mean, I suppose they just wanted to liquidate it really quick, and they were making a fortune.
Anything's a profit if you effectively paid £1 for a model.
I mean, that is just. And is this common? Do you find? I mean, I know you did a lot of house clearances.
I did as well. In that particular instance, that year they were one of 4 who ran similar deals.
Because, I mean, what's typical? Are we talking about people who have no immediate families? Or are we talking about relatives who really, presumably don't share the interest and just view it as just like junk?
It's a mixture. There are people who are living in council accommodation or rented accommodation and don't realise that their contracts say that if they die, all their belongings belong to the owner of the property.
Isn't that actually an illegal contract?
It has been known, or at least we have been brought in on that requirement, and I have known dealers who have been on that.
Because my understanding is that would be classed as an unfair term in a contract.
Yeah.
You can't.
If you want to chase that up, then it was one we had moral qualms about at the time.
Yeah, but I mean,
certainly
presumably,
notification next of kin meant that there should have been something in the way of that. But
yes, but certainly, so basically, it's house clearances. Somebody's passed away.
Yeah, and either the council or family has commissioned us to clear either a room or the entire property.
And it's like you quite often see vans driving around. It says house clearances undertaken, and it's like basically.
Yeah.
They're people. It's like, granddad passed away. We'll just get somebody in to clear the house so we can sell the house. And I suppose a lot of family members might view it's the house that is all they want. They want the money from the house.
The house is the easiest and quickest tangible value. There is none of this faff of working out the prices of things. There's none of that. There is just the house we know is worth this much.
Yeah, but I mean. This is what I'm just having a look on, like Max's Hobby Productions. Sell it on eBay. Collectors would go nuts.
Hello, Charles Curtis.
Yeah, there was like wait what from Max's Hobby Productions. There's a lot of people here who are kind of waiting for the most important thing, the thing that's on the tip of your tongues.
Charles Curtis has actually brought up something very interesting. He says the least expensive railway items I've seen were at garage sales. You're dead right, Charles. Well done. You missed a trick there, and it's actually brilliant. If you go to a car boot sale and see someone with a table stuff, if there's something expensive, it will be stolen. For example, like there's a tray of N-gauge, light fingers everywhere. So what a lot of sellers do is put out the cheapest stuff so that they get an interest, and then they bring up better later items. They're not dealing in model railways at the moment, but certainly dealers I've worked with, such as Lighthouse Antiques in Moulton in the Marsh, they have huge boxes of £1 cheap as chips tatty wagons until you ask about it, and then with that you go and once you've asked about it, then they'll go, oh yeah, and by the way, we have about £4,000 worth of DCC fitted brand new wagons in the back and engines in the back. Right. What you see at the show, you've got to ask and really take an interest in for them to get the good stuff out.
So you would say that's quite a common sales tactic, as it were, because presumably otherwise you get people who go, "Oh, I'll take that off your hands for £5," and it'll, you basically just create aggro for yourself as a seller if you've got the good stuff at places like that.
But it also means that other dealers don't spot it immediately. If there is someone who is from a local model shop and knows that they can get a good markup, if they just see a box of tatty, nasty, horrible things, then they'll give it less of a look than if they immediately just see a DCC fitted model for only £40.
But I mean, where is this turning? Everybody's waiting to. In fact, actually, that's a good idea. Mark Rice, always take 9-volt battery to try it, and certainly, you can.
That's good. Occasionally, if you want experience with the make and brand, I've seen people accidentally fry models. If they've been using, for example, some of the more obscure things, like there's a Ukrainian one which is 1.1 volt N-gauge, which I've seen people accidentally burn out models because they've gone, oh, it's N-gauge, stick a 9 volt in there.
But I mean, they must be very much in a minority. And certainly UK outline stuff, you're never going to get any weird stuff. I don't think even American outline stuff, there's any manufacturers that make weirdy things. I mean,
as I said, Ukrainian. You are looking at a company which was kind of way off our normal market range.
But no, that is actually a really good tip. Thanks for that, Mark Rice. But what everybody is waiting for is, where can Joe Q Public find these good deals? Where does this stuff percolate to? Because it's not necessarily getting bought for that like £1 a loco and then going straight to somewhere that's selling at the going rate. There are places that you can find good prices.
In the system that we generally kind of work out, you have... There are clearance dealers, there are clearance merchants, there are auction houses which have to shift and have literally thousands of models.
And so we're not talking about eBay here.
They're the baseline, and they just shift to anybody. And
where would people find these auction houses?
These are literally just anything which will identify itself as a council clearance house is often quite useful.
Will people find these online, or do you have to...
Well, you can go into the auctions themselves. Alternatively, Easy Live Auctions. Literally just search Railway, and you'll come up with every single auction in the country which has signed up with them that does that sort of clearance work and sells reasonably. In fact, there are two great examples I've recently gone to. There was one in Wrexham which had cleared out a huge collection of O-gauge for pretty much next to nothing. Comparatively against what they're worth new, especially considering its proximity to the Dapple shop, only about 5 miles away. Similarly, there's actually one that is almost laughably close to Rails of Sheffield, that bi-monthly have a railway auction which regularly undersells.
And what, in Rails of Sheffield don't send somebody down there to pick up stuff?
They don't. They tell other people that they do, but they do not. Or if they do, they will possibly have an arrangement to just sweep out any surplus lots. But the auction didn't say that they did that either.
Because, I mean, over the years, I've always been... Well, I say years, over the last year and a half, I've always been astounded some of the deals that you've punted my way. So, like, the one that sticks in my mind, you offered me a mint-boxed Bachmann 5MT, the 460 tender locomotive.
The box was a mess, but the model was mint.
But the box was there. It wasn't that much of a mess. I've seen worse. It was complete. It just had like shelfware.
Yeah.
And you sold that to me for £25.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe how you could sell something that cheap. But presumably you were making money off that.
I was, yeah. I actually on that.
Yeah, no, don't be coy. I mean, I don't begrudge you. You sold it to me for 25
as a
quid.
friend.
Yeah.
I only took £5 off that.
And what was the story behind that? Where did it actually come from?
That had come from the one I said earlier. Lighthouse Antiques, they bought that shipping container. That was from the shipping container.
So that was one of the ones from the shipping
container. And they'd had it in their window for about 3 years. And no one ever bought it. And it's actually a really, really fascinating thing. As a lot of these shops, even ones in like really big tourist locations, like there's one in Welshpool not far from the train station, who have this mantra of Bachmann's pointless to sell, Helgen you can't pronounce, no one's heard of it, Dapple's the place just up the road that is cheap as chips, but Hornby is the gold. Yeah, because everyone knows Hornby.
Because it's got the brand recognition. Once you step outside railway modelers, it's certainly in the UK, Hornby is what, you know, if you say model railways, people will automatically say Hornby. They've heard of Hornby, but not anything else. I mean, you took me around in Shrewsbury, quite a number of places, and there was some pretty good bargains on offer there. And these are, you know, forget about model shops. These were like antique type places.
These were just general antique stores. Antique shops are quite reliably the widest ranging possible different store, and there are dealers. In fact,
laterally, in the case of sourcing second-hand stock,